You won't believe how many takes that took, by the way. One, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming along. It's an Everton Umbro event to celebrate the renewal of the partnership between ourselves and Umbro. We've had some fantastic success with Umbro, as you all know, in the past, and we're hopeful of plenty more again. And you people have been selected because you are, as part of the fabric as everybody else, consecutive season ticket holders of 10 years or more, and I believe everybody went to every away game last season. Is that correct? Fantastic, very much part of the fabric. Tonight is really relaxed, it's very simple. We've just got a few guests to introduce you to, current player, a few ex-players, people who are very much a part of the fabric here at Goodison Park. We've even got the guy who paints the main stand, he's coming along as well. He's going to, I don't know what tales he's going to tell, but he's got one or two, I'm sure. Throughout the night as well, you'll all have bingo cards on the table. And instead of numbers, we'll just be putting some images up on the screen behind me. So as you see an image on the screen that matches one on your card, mark it off or dab it, whatever. And the first person to complete the card will win an away shirt. So keep your concentration. It's very, very much well worth winning. And also we have another away shirt that will be up for grabs in our raffle. Karina will be round later with a couple of the girls selling raffle tickets, and as always the proceeds will go to Everton in the community, and you don't need me to tell you the fantastic work that Everton in the community does in the local area and far beyond. Okay, so without any, actually there's a video to play first of all before we meet our first guest. We made a special video when we teamed up with Umbro, and this is it.
Tom Gardner, outside right, fabric since 1947.
Graeme Sharp, striker, fabric since 1980.
Steve Johnson, Everton in the community, fabric since 2003.
Seamus Coleman, right back, fabric since 2009.
Michelle Hinnigan, midfield, fabric since 2003.
John Manville, painter and decorator, fabric since 1979.
Duncan Ferguson, striker, fabric since 1994.
Jimmy Martin, kitman, fabric since 1990.
Phil Yagelka, centre-back, fabric since 2007.
Roberto Martinez, manager, fabric since 2013.
Ross Barkley, midfield, fabric since 2005.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your first special guest this evening, Sheamus Coleman. Thanks for coming along, Shay. How on earth are you going to better last season? Player of the Year, Players Player of the Year, named in the PFA team, scored a load of goals. What's going to happen this year?
I don't know. It was a great season for me last year, and I'm delighted with how it went. And you know, I try and improve every year as best I can, and I'll be trying to improve on everything I've done last year as well. So hopefully myself and the team can have a good season again.
You and I have spoken time and time again, many times, and you often say that even now you still have to pinch yourself from time to time when you come into Finch Farm. That must have been one of those moments last season at St George's Hall when you were the Everton Football Club Players Player of the Year and the Player of the Year.
Yeah, you know, the players you've seen up there in the past, you know, the likes of Leighton Baines winning both of them before, and you know, and I was just to come over first and going to them awards and seeing them pick them up. I thought that was a million miles away, and to actually do it was a very proud moment, and probably from all my hard work I got there in the end.
This summer The scorelines haven't gone as well as we hope, but off the field it's been fantastic, hasn't it? With young players signing contracts, Big Ron coming back, Gareth coming back, Mo Bezic looks a player, so everybody should be full of confidence.
Yeah, I think so. It was very important, I think, for the manager to get all the players signed on new contracts, and keeping the likes of John Stones and Ross Barkley's massive, because they're huge talents, and then getting Romelu as well, another young player who scores a lot of goals, and hopefully he can do so again this year. And as you said, Mo's been fantastic. I haven't got to train with him much yet because I've been injured, but I've seen him in the games, and he's been fantastic. So everything to look forward to.
He likes to tackle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Mohamed Bezic. If the two friendlies or anything, if the first 2 minutes in Paderborn or anything to go by, his first suspension will be the end of August.
Yeah, he does. He seems to. A couple of the lads have saying that in training too. He likes to get stuck in, which is what Evertonians like to see, and I'm sure he'll be sensible with it. But on the ball, I thought he's been fantastic. So something to look forward to.
So everybody's geared up and really looking forward to going to Leicester City. It's a tough time to go to a newly promoted side, isn't it? There'll be a lot of razzmatazz. They'll be full of confidence. You want to avoid them, don't you?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I think they've had a very good pre-season as well. They've done quite well, and as you said, they've just got promoted, so their supporters will be up for it as well. But we got a lot of experienced boys who won't get distracted by that commotion, and hopefully we can get the job done on the day.
You've been part of the fabric, as you say, since 2009, and Jimmy Martin there's been at the club longer than any of us. He's very much part of the fabric. What's he like at the training ground? This is your moment.
Do you know what? I need Jimmy, so I better say he's the best in the world, because you need to stay on the good side of Jimmy Martin. But no, Jimmy's fantastic. I remember the first day I walked into the club, and I was quite nervous and that, and I thought I put in a bit of an effort my first day at Everton, so I tried to put on some half decent clothes, and I was wearing a top, and he goes, "Were you painting this morning?" And I was like, so Jimmy's always like that, but he's a great kitman, and all the lads have a great time for him.
What about yourself, Shay? Did you get back to Ireland in the summer?
I did, yeah. I'm a massive homebird. I try and get home as much as I can during the season as well, and I went home for a good probably 4 weeks, and I went away on a 2-week holiday as well. But great to get back and see my family and all my friends, and just chill out at home, really.
What's it like when you're back in Killybegs? Are you Seamus Coleman, a Premier League footballer? Or are you just a local boy?
Yeah, I suppose for the young kids around the town, I'm probably the footballer, because I live in a housing estate back home, and my mum and dad live. So when I go home, I call there, and all the little kids from the estate will knock on the door every 10 minutes. You come out to play. So there's a big green in the housing estate. So I spend most of my summer out there. So it's great though. I really enjoy it.
Don't let the fitness coach know that. Has your mum got all your Ireland tops on the walls?
Yeah, as you know, Dad, she's got magazines and tops and everything. They're very proud of what I've done, and I try and send home as much. The Player of the Year awards and that, they all go back to my home house back home. But they're very proud.
What about on the international front? It must be great to have Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane around.
Yeah, for us it's two very experienced people to learn from, and I was saying before, we missed out in the World Cup, and I was quite jealous watching all the lads, really, to be honest, and hopefully the two lads can help us get to a major tournament, because I'd like to be successful for my country.
The players are certainly there, aren't they?
Yeah, without doubt. I think we've got a lot of the players as well. We got myself, Gibbo, Duffy, James and McGeady, which hopefully will be good for the international setup, because we're training together every day here, and hopefully we can bring some kind of connection back and start winning games for Ireland.
There seems to be a lot more to come from Aidan McGeady. He'll have benefited from having a pre-season, won't he?
I think so, yeah. I know from speaking to him last year, he needed the pre-season. He had a couple of weeks off when he joined up with, or a couple of months off before he joined up with us in January. But I've seen him for Ireland, and I've seen him for Everton. When it all clicks, his trickery on the ball is something else, and I think we'll see a lot more from him this season now after he's got a pre-season under him.
If anybody wants to ask Seamus a question, by the way, feel free. Just pop your hand in the air. I know this is the point where everybody looks at me blankly. Well done.
I hope so. I was back training today, so it's obviously very unfortunate for myself to miss so much of pre-season, but it's probably in the manager and the physio's hands now. But I'll be knocking on the door, trying to get in the team for Saturday for sure.
Yep.
You know, I think that he's got a different philosophy. He likes his fullbacks to nearly be like wingers sometimes, whereas under David Moyes, which I thought was brilliant too. Like I got forward as much as I could, but it was a case of maybe when Benzie went, I stayed, or when I went, Benzie stayed. Whereas now, it's a case of me and Benzie sometimes, or me and Brian sometimes. Last season, we're both in the box at the same time, and you know, I can't thank James McCarthy enough for the covering he does for me. You know, week in, week out, the engine he has, and it just gives me that license to go forward, that I know that he's there covering for me as much as I can. And I think it's the same with Benji on the other side. Gaz Barry's covering for him. So there's been little tweaks in that, but you know, I've been an attacking fullback in the past, and that's the way I'll always like to be.
You added goals to your repertoire as well last season. Some absolute belters as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. It was something I needed to add to my game, but obviously I wasn't expecting to get as many. And it's a case of when you get 1 or 2 goals, you kind of go into every game then thinking you can get another goal. So I was delighted to add that part to my game, and hopefully I can, you know, do the same and more this year.
One award that you didn't get at St George's Hall that you certainly should have got, in my opinion, was Celebration of the Year for the goal at Swansea when you booted the advertising hoods.
Yeah, I kind of cringe a little bit looking back on that, but it's hard to explain. You know, when you score a goal for Everton, you know, I think there was like 70 minutes gone in the game with a few chances and things weren't kind of going right, and I just got the ball edge of the box and I just hit it and went in the top corner, and I could just see all the Everton fans going crazy, and I just wanted to join in with them, really.
That was a goal from the second it left your foot, wasn't it? If you watch the replay from behind the goal, the ball has hit the net, it's on the floor, and the keeper's only halfway through his dive.
Yeah, it was a great connection, and as I said, I was just happy for it to go in, and you know, I was probably annoyed that the advertising board got me away from getting to the fans, so that's why I got a bit of a kick in.
Tamure Kitspire it was, wasn't it, who started that trend. Are you aware that you still haven't scored at the Park End?
I am, yeah. It's something that I want to put right, because when I walk in every day, there's a couple of Stuarts that say to me, "You're going to score up this end." So I started to tell them to stop saying it to me every week, and I might actually score. But it is something I want to do. It's great scoring at the Gladys Street, but it's something I'd like to do.
Any more questions for Seamus from the floor? This is your chance. Yes. Yeah.
That's something as well that I look back. I didn't know what to do. So Rom's crossed it, Brian scored, and I'm looking at the two of them, and I'm knackered at the same time. So I've noticed that Rom's closer to me than Brian is, so I just says I'll go to him. But it's funny looking back on that. But I got some stick for that, by the way. Well, that's good. There's something came out of it.
Do you want to just demonstrate that, Casey? Just a few people might not know. Tony? For those of you who can't hear, the question was, who was rubbish last year?
Who? I think Ross was brilliant last year, but I think knowing the ability that Ross has and seeing him every day in training, that he can add a lot more goals to his game. I think because he's a fantastic talent. He's so strong, powerful, and technically brilliant. So I think we'll see a lot more again. I know he was brilliant last year, but I think we'll see even more again from him this year.
Yep.
That was another game. I didn't intentionally try and do it, but it was just my momentum kept me going. But the left back from Arsenal after the game wasn't too happy with me. He thought I was taking the piss, but
Which you were.
I genuinely didn't mean to, but after he had a go at me, I was delighted I'd done it to him, to be honest.
When he had a go at you in the tunnel, that was as close as he'd been to you all afternoon, wasn't it? Another question?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just got asked that in an interview there. It's hard to separate them. You know, we'll obviously want to better what we did last year in the league, and that'll be obviously finishing fourth because we finished fifth. But you know, I've been here 5 years now, 6 years, and I would love to lift the trophy at Wembley with Everton. But we'll go for both. We'll go to try and get in the Champions League, and we'll go to try and win the trophy. But you know, something I know a lot of the lads want to do is win the FA Cup.
I'll just ask that question to everybody in the audience. Champions League or win a trophy? Who'd rather finish fourth? Who'd rather win a trophy?
Everyone.
FA Cup or Europa League? FA Cup? Either. Anyone? So I mean that was fairly emphatic, wasn't it? 100%. And being back in Europe is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? And what do you recall of your debut at Benfica?
Any need for that?
Do we have Dan Gosling at full back, Hibbo centre half, you at left back?
I'm sure you all didn't like me back then, did you?
Dan
Get him
Gosling
back
got the blame.
Get him back to Sligo. No, it was, to be honest, it was an experience that I actually enjoyed initially. You know, to be starting a Europa League game 6 months after I left Sligo Rovers away to Benfica was something that I really enjoyed. But I think we're all crap that night, not just me.
I think a lot of people were thinking 60 grand for that. Do you like that chance, by the way?
I do, to be fair. I love it. When it happens, it's fantastic, and I know when my family and that are over at the game, they enjoy it too. So hopefully I can keep playing well this season and hear it a couple of more times.
We're all looking forward to the draw at the end of the month. It is such a fantastic experience for everybody, supporters, staff, players, to be involved in Europe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's massive for everyone at the club, and you know, it's what we set out to do last year. Obviously, as I said, it was Champions League we wanted, but you know, it's great to be back in Europe. And you know, the last time I was part of it, I wasn't massively part of it. You know, I was kind of on the fringes and a couple of minutes here and there. But to be fully part of it now and to be playing here under the lights Thursday night, it's going to be fantastic. And hopefully we get a couple of good away draws as well.
When we're under floodlights here at Goodison Park and the ball's zipping about a bit, the atmosphere is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my favourite time playing at Goodison when the lights are on, nighttime kick-off. I really enjoy it. So hopefully we can have some good nighttime games at Goodison this season.
Another question for Seamus, anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, well, personally, I'd like to do it. Obviously, you can sometimes tell how serious of an injury it is. If it's a serious injury, I think proper order to put the ball out. But you know, 9 times out of 10 in the Premier League, it's nothing really. And I think we should keep the ball in as long as we can. But I will anyway, and I'm sure the rest of the lads will. As I said, it's a ref's decision.
Talking of bad injuries, Brian Oviedo's looking the part, isn't he? He's done so well to keep a smile on his face, that boy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's something else, Brian. I think everyone loves Brian, and he's such a positive character. And you know, it was such a sad thing to happen to him because he was playing so well for us at the time. You know, he was fantastic since, you know, I think Bainsy got an injury and he came in and I thought he was brilliant. But you know, I was working with him the last week there in the gym and that, and he's such a positive character. And you know, when I get to see him putting that jersey on again, I'll be a happy man, really.
He's going to get a fantastic reception when he runs out at Goodison Park again. It certainly did. It affected the game, didn't it? For at least for a while, once Brian went off, because everybody knew the extent of the damage.
Yeah, you know, I didn't play that game, but I remember watching it, and you know, you felt sick in your stomach for him because you could see how bad the injury actually was. But he's got the best medical staff, you know, here, and he's such a positive character that he'll be good again. And as I said, it'll be great to see him run out in an Everton jersey again.
Are you going to try and stamp out that vanishing spray when we see it at Goodison Park for the first time?
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. To be fair, it seemed to work well in the World Cup, but we'll see how it works. I think it'll do good.
Did you enjoy watching the World Cup?
I did, yeah.
Little bit of envy that you weren't there.
Yeah, massive bit of envy. You know, I would have loved to have been there, and I know all the Irish lads would. But I thought it was a very entertaining World Cup, and you know, I was delighted for Tim Howard how well he done, and I think I was a USA fan for the majority of it. But he was fantastic.
We were watching training, Graeme Stewart and myself, when we were in Paderborn, and Tim Howard, when he's in the mood, you can't get past him, can you?
No, he's something else. His agility is frightening, and such a good keeper, and so experienced, and you know, he helps us out. He helps the back four out a lot, and he pulled us out of a lot last year as well. So hopefully he can have a good season for us.
We'll just go back finally, Seamus, to where it started for you, Sligo Rovers. You still keep an eye on the on how they're getting on, the scorelines?
Yeah, I do as much as I can. You know, with time going on and that, I think there's only one player still there that I played with in my time at Sligo. But you know, I'm very fortunate that I had such a good time there, and very fortunate I came here from there. But always keep an eye on them and go back and watch them in the summer when I can.
Which other clubs were you linked with from time to time while you were still at Sligo?
I went a couple of places. I went to Celtic on trial. I was crap. Burnley on trial. I got injured. Birmingham on trial. I was even worse again. So thankfully Everton didn't take me on trial, or I probably wouldn't be here. But they just signed me. It's funny how it worked out. McDoherty, the scout, his son Sean, played for us. So I think Mick was only over, you know, to see his son for the weekend, just to look at him play, and thankfully I might have had a good game that weekend, and he recommended me to Everton, and he came over a couple of more times, and thankfully they signed me.
It's a massive step, isn't it? Are there any more golden nuggets out there? There must be some ability in the League of Ireland.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's been plenty that's came over from the League of Ireland and done well. You know, Kevin Doyle done brilliant, Shane Long done brilliant, James McLean done brilliant as well. So there's been plenty that's came over, and there's definitely plenty more there. I suppose the league back home doesn't really get the recognition it deserves from the people back home, but there's definitely plenty good players out there.
Who put their arm around you when you first arrived? Who looked after you in the dressing room?
Phil Neville. Yeah, I just remember from day one, to be honest, he was brilliant with me. As soon as I walked in, he let me know that if I need anything, not to be afraid to give him a shout. And you know, to be honest, anyone that's been at this club will tell you that everyone, as soon as you walk in the door, is so welcoming, and I just felt at home straight away. You know, from the cleaning staff. Unfortunately, some of the kitmen have been all right, and you know, the kitchen staff. Everyone was brilliant with me, and yourself, Darren, as well. So really, really grateful the club I came to, and thankfully it just fitted well.
Well, we're really grateful to have you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to let him go so we can get started preparations ahead of the weekend, if selected. For now, please give it up for Sheamus Coleman.
Thank you. Thanks.
Right, time to welcome our next guest. Anything could happen in the next 10 minutes or so. Part of the fabric for longer than he cares to remember. Please welcome the legend that is Jimmy Martin. This is when all the stick you've given me comes back to haunt you, because I've got you now exactly where I need you to be.
Think so.
When did you start, Jimmy? When did you start working for Everton Football Club?
1987. I used to drive the bus all the way through all the 80s when we had a really good team. And then Howard went to Bilbao, got the job over there. Then when he come back and Colin got finished, he asked me to be the kit manager, because that's what they had in Spain them days.
Well, who used to look after the kit then before we had a kit manager?
No one, just all the young players used to do it.
All the apprentices, you'd love that now, wouldn't you?
Not half. Especially the two I've got working for me anyway. I have to keep my eye on them too.
I knew it wouldn't be long before Tony and Sean got a little bit of stick. You were the coach driver when we won the league at Norwich, weren't you? Is that right?
Yeah.
That was some journey, wasn't it?
Great journey. Absolutely the best journey I've ever seen. He just nodded and got off at Burton Wood with no clothes on and got in his car and drove back to Doncaster. I never seen it for a week. Unbelievable.
They must have been a heck of a crew to drive around when Howard was in charge, and you got your Snods and Rats and Sharpie and them in the squad.
They actually give me hell then. They absolutely. The first day I started, I couldn't get them out the room. They were in causing havoc all day, putting the kit somewhere else, moving around, and it was a nightmare. But I knew all the lads anyway, because I used to go to Magaluf with them at the end of the year and things like that. So I knew what to expect when I started at the club.
Let's talk about the current kit. I mean, this is an Everton Umbro event, and I'm not just saying this. We were talking on the way up that Umbro in the past have been a pleasure to work for, and thankfully it's the same again, because not all kit suppliers are they? Don't mention any names.
No, they're not. When I first started in the early 90s, 87, 90 season, I had Umbro then, when they had the little FA, not Premier League, the Football League badges on the sleeves, and they were the first one. And then we had the yellow kit for the second one. So over the last 25 years I've been here, 15 years I've been with Umbro. And the football, that's what you get. They're just football, they're really good to work with. They come and see you. Other companies don't bother. Once they've got the deal done and all that, they don't want to know you. So it's good. I like Umbro.
The third kit will get its airing, its debut on Saturday, I believe, at Leicester City.
Yeah, we're playing in the third kit. But the good thing is we've changed the socks to white, so it'll be white and purple white, all yellow goalkeepers. So
Jimmy's very much a white socks man, by the way. Some people prefer blue socks. Some people actually would prefer an all blue kit, but I think blue, white is the Everton kit for me.
yeah, easy. Don't tell the girls in the laundry that, they hate them, and I think that's why we changed these shoes, just to give them a year off. But we're gonna probably be white socks again next year, probably.
One of the benefits of working at Finch Farm for yourself and your lads is that we've got a laundry on site, which must make a real difference. What did you have to do at Belfield?
Well, when I was at Belfield, we had an outside laundry, a laundry from St Helens, David Reid, and they used to come and like pick all the kit up after training, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They only done the match kit. The young apprentices used to go down to the laundrette. We used to give them a pile of pound coins. They go down to the laundrette at the bottom of the road, and I started to go down and checking them now and again. And they had that much stuff in the washing machines. They used all them pound coins to get Mars bars and papers, and they'd be lying on the couch reading the paper, and didn't get the wash. The kit didn't get washed properly.
So it must be fantastic now. All you've got to do is put it in the truck, and it goes to the other end of the corridor.
Yeah, but it still has to come back, lad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we come from Thailand and places like that, we can be weeks and weeks trying to put it all back together again. It's just horrendous now than it used to be.
You've got to, obviously, if we go to America for 10 days, 11 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is, you must have to take an inordinate amount of kit. You must have to pack all the training kit, the playing kit. It doesn't go on the plane with the players, does it?
No. Like to Thailand this year, we had to send that like 4 weeks before to make sure it gets through the customs and things like that. We sent £60,000 worth of kit to Thailand this year. We had maybe £30,000 worth of kit in Austria, and then we had games besides that before we went to Thailand. So we spend £250,000 on kit every year.
What was Australia like then? We went to Australia, the other side of the world, literally for 3 weeks. That must have been a huge task.
Horrendous, lad. Horrendous. I'll never forget that trip. We had to send stuff to Sydney because it was winter time. We had coats and all that there. And then we went to Melbourne, which was spring. And then we went to Brisbane, which was summer. So all that, I think we spent about £40,000 just to send it out to different destinations. It's unbelievable.
What do you make of all the boots these days? You mean you very rarely see a pair of black boots now?
Well, if you see any red ones, they're black the next day. Simple as that. We don't have any messing with that. Yeah.
Some of the lads have actually tried it, haven't they? Or they've had red stripes and you've had to sit up most of the night colouring it in with a marker pen.
Oh yes, Stephen Pienaar come running to the bench not long ago. That was because he had these Puma boots with red on. And I went, look, lad, you ain't playing with them. There's no messing about here, lad. They'll be black tomorrow when you play. And he scored. So he come running over thanking us for his boots. So that's how it is.
The Leicester City game at the weekend is the third kit making its debut. When do you start to prepare the kit for a Premier League game?
Well, what we do is we have three different colour warm-up kits to match each kit. I speak to the kitman from Leicester. I tell him what we're playing in. He tells me what he's playing in, and we start on the Monday morning, and it's back by the Tuesday, and then we're looking forward to the next game then. So if we've got a game the next week, we normally do a week at a time, so we've finished. We've started getting the kit ready for the Arsenal game now, so that'll be done before the weekend. We're always a week ahead. Otherwise, don't get no time off.
What's been your favourite kit since you became the kit manager?
I think the one we've got now is going to take a lot of beating. But I always liked the salmon navy stripe one. I thought that was good because it was different. It was different from looking at blue and white and yellow, and it was just different for me, and I liked that.
By the way, if anyone's got any questions for Jimmy, throw your hand up. Paul?
Hi, lad. Oh yeah, done that a few times, lad. Yeah. And Tony Sage, who used to go with me, used to sleep for 23 hours. Yeah, we have to take it everywhere. You know, it's like taking your training ground to another country.
There was one time we were coming back from Austria and we all had to take bits of kit ourselves because Jimmy had bought this barbecue that was that bloody big. He put it in the kit van and got the fella to drive it back to Liverpool for him.
It was a bargain, that lad.
It was absolutely horrendous. It looked like a small temple. That wasn't a barbecue, that. Tell us about the 1995 FA Cup final, because Big Nev tried to do you in the neck, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought the 95 semi-final was much better than the final, to be honest with you. I thought it was walking out at Leeds United's ground. It was absolutely unbelievable. Best day of my life. The cup final was a nightmare because Neville had his goalkeeper shirts behind the door. So he said, can put my shirts out there, come on. I went, all right, Nev. So anyway, I'm looking for these shirts. I couldn't find them anywhere. I was panicking, by the way. And he went, come on. I went, all right. They're in the skip. Well, get them out then. I went, Nev, I can't find them. I don't think I've packed them, you know. He went, no, you better go and tell Joe. But Joe knew anyway. And I went, Joe, I don't think I've packed Neville's goalkeeper's kit, you know. He went,
this is the FA Cup final, don't forget.
Yeah. He went, go and tell him to get them behind the door, lad. So that's the things that you do, you know, just to wind you up, you know. And so that's why I do it now. I've learned all my tricks from that thing there sitting there. You know what I mean? So I've learned all my tricks off the older players, you know what I mean? So now I give it to the younger players now.
Any more questions for Jimmy? Oh, looking at me blankly again.
No, I was always Evertonian. I lived in Rainford, so I was Evertonian all my life. So to get a job like this, it's a dream come true, isn't it? I used to work for a company called Easeway. Easeway had the contract for Everton, and the lad who used to drive them was retiring. So because I was an Evertonian, he said, would you like to do the job? So I went with him for like 6 months to learn where the grounds and things like that, and then I got the job then.
Did you ever get lost?
Not as much as some of them get lost nowadays, you know. I didn't ever get lost anyway, you know. It's the best job in the world. I've been around the world, so I've never been on a plane till I worked for Everton, so, you know what I mean? So it is fantastic. The people are fantastic. Fans are fantastic. The staff, all good. Darren.
I've waited for so long for you to admit you had the best job in the club, Jimmy. I've been telling you that for
Not
years.
as good as yours, lad. I tell you, blimey.
Go on, Kate.
What's your most enjoyable game from last season under the beta?
My most enjoyable. It wasn't Liverpool, love. I hate going there any time of the day. We had some good ones, didn't we? I thought there was quite a lot of good ones. I mean, we don't see the game like you see the game. When I'm watching the game, I'm watching for like people going down with head injuries and getting blood on the shirt, because the rules now, you can have blood on your shirt, your shorts, your socks. So that's what we're looking for all the time. Anybody gets a stud, gone out the studs. So we're busy looking at it, so you don't really see the game as much as you do, you know what I mean?
Some of the gear that you have to pack for individual players is astonishing, isn't it? People wouldn't believe how high the pile is on a match day.
Oh,
T-shirts, shorts, vests, all sorts, isn't it?
Tim Howard, we call him medium and large because 1 week is medium, 1 week is large. So that's the nickname we call him, you know what I mean? And he loves it. You go, have you got a small? Oh, I'm only joking, I'm only joking.
What about little Aussie?
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. I can't wait for him to be sold. Because I'll be at the top balcony. I'll be waving him off, don't worry, and Hibbert. Don't you worry about that. See you, Aussie lad. Thanks for coming.
He was lying on top of the cupboard, Aussie, in the kit room a few weeks ago, wasn't he, with a water gun. This is a grown man, professional footballer, lying on top of the cupboard with a water gun, and he soaked Jimmy when he got through the door.
And I run out the kit room, didn't even know he was on the top of the wardrobe. I come back in 10 minutes after, he's still there and soaked me again. But when we first moved into Finch Farm, the kit room was in a bit of a mess. You know, we'd had these wardrobes fitted in and they weren't right finished. And I was sitting at a little desk that we have by the phone and all that. And I kept hearing, I thought there was like a fly flicking me like that. And anyway, it kept coming on. I was like that all the time. It was Aussie on top with a little feather duster flicking me here. That's the things they get up to, is the tricks they play. Or they cut your laces off, or they cut your sleeve off your shirt and things like that, you know. You've got to keep your eye on them.
We got him back spectacularly once before the end of the season. They were going for a bite to eat, weren't they? Then they were all going to St George's Hall on the bus, and they brought their white shirts and their tuxedos in, and we got Ozzie's shirt out, his white shirt, and put Osman 21 on the back of it. Hung it back up again. Tell them what happened when you first met Phil Neville.
I don't like Manx at the best of times, but anyway, he comes strutting in, you know, like they do. I went, here, lad, have you got through the passport control at Burton Wood? And he went, yeah, I'm Phil Neville. I know you are, lad. And he went, can I have number 18 shirt? I went, you number 18 shirt, Gascoigne, Rooney, I've seen you play, lad. And I said, I'll tell you what you're having. You're having number 18, right? And we don't have no dickheads here either.
To be fair to Phil, he was great around the place, wasn't he? You have to say that.
Fantastic fella, absolutely. So professional when he first come. He went, that's me rubbers for the game, me trainers for the game, me shin pads for the game, and that's me boots for training. I'll tell you when I want them changing, and that's all he had. He was brilliant. Class.
Any more questions for Jimmy? I thought you wanted to ask a question then, Christine. Let's introduce his mate. Please welcome Graeme Stewart. Did he ever get lost?
He wasn't the driver when I was here. He was purely the kit man, Daz. But he was the most aggressive kit man in the Premier League, as you can probably tell.
Still am.
Still am, yeah. But no, he's listen. Excuse me. He's a top fella, Jim. He is a very, very good kit man. But I've never seen him. I've never seen somebody threaten so many people in my entire life. Be threatened by people in my entire life. But you still survived somehow, Jim, haven't you?
Yeah.
He's seen them all off. He likes nothing better than a young superstar with a bit of an ego, does he?
Well, like you've just heard, there's no airs and graces with him. I've seen him say the same things as he said to Phil Neville on numerous occasions. I'm sure you probably have a go with Big Rom as well, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, put him in the picture.
You don't care, does he? You know, size, shape, whatever. Jimmy, like I say, doesn't matter who you are, he's quite happy to put you in his place, isn't you?
Don't have no big time players here, do we, lad?
No.
All the same as far as we're concerned. They're here to do a job, win for Everton, that's it.
There's no room for egos, and we were away. We were in Thailand, and we were in Germany, yourself and I, Diamond, and you can see the organisation that goes in. I mean, the players want for nothing, do they?
No, it's such a different game to what it was when I was playing. They are looked after so well. I mean, the stakes are huge, aren't they, these days? And the players, you know, you really don't have to even get sleeping tablets now to put you to sleep. They don't even have to get to sleep on their own, do they? But it's incredible what goes into it. I mean, you've had a little bit of insight there off Jim with the amount of kit that gets flown around the world, and you know, everybody's different needs and requirements. It's quite incredible to see it, you know, to be back out in Thailand and Paderborn and what have you, and to see the preparation that goes into everything is quite incredible. You know, it takes you back to time. You know, only wish we got that 5-star treatment, Jim.
All a lot different from when you started out as an apprentice at Chelsea. I suppose you were the apprentice that sorted out the washing up.
Yeah, pretty much so. I mean, I'm sure the last thing you want to hear me is rattle on about Chelsea Football Club, but just to give you an insight into what we used to do as apprentices, I mean, I used to turn up at Stamford Bridge at 9 o'clock in the morning. We used to pack the kit onto the minibus. The training ground was down by Heathrow Airport, so we were all packed onto the bus down to Heathrow, unpack the kit, pump the balls up, make sure the first team had tees and the kit was laid out, all kinds of jobs, left, right and centre. Eventually we'd go out and train ourselves. Then we'd go in there and the kit would be strewn everywhere across the first team, reserve team dressing room, so it was pick up all the sweaty jock straps, excuse me ladies, but you know, that was the reality of it. Pack all the gear up, tidy everything up at Harlington, which was the training ground, back to Stamford Bridge, unload the gear, we washed the kit. We had to fold up next day's kit, make sure that was packed up in the bags, ready to then put onto the minibus again, and then do the jobs at Stamford Bridge. And we had a guy called Gwyn Williams, who was a fantastic youth development officer. He really, really was. And he, you know, he loved the lads, but he was a hard taskmaster. And just when you thought it was 5 o'clock and time to go home, he'd walk into the boot room and he'd go right to the top of the boot room where all the boots were, flick the bit of dust off. Think you're going home, do you? Get in there. And he used to send all of us in there. You have to clean top shelf to the bottom, clean all the boot room. He used to go home about 8 o'clock. But it was quite incredible now. They don't do anything, the young lads now. They just walk in with their headphones on and phoning the missus up on the phone and all that sort of stuff. You're just pampered as a 16-year-old now.
You'd bring those days back, wouldn't you?
Not half the bother. I'd have them all in at 7:30, never mind 9 o'clock.
I mean, we've had the rough end of your tongue as well at times, because obviously media obligations now, that the media side of football has changed massively since Jimmy started. And if Jimmy's getting all the kit ready and one of our team rushes in and asks for a T-shirt for, like today, I had to ask for a T-shirt for Leighton Baines with Chang on because he was doing some television interviews, and you don't take it very well at all, do you?
No. I know, why should I? I'm packing the kit. Anything goes wrong on Saturday, I've not forgot to pack something, and I have these people coming in, I forget to put it in. They don't get the blame, it's me who gets the blame, so I just tell them where they go.
Have you ever forgotten anything?
No, never. That's why I'm the best kitman in the Premier League, lad.
He has publicly admitted he's got the best job in the world, hasn't he? And he's not wrong.
Oh, he's got the best job in the world by a million miles. I mean, he's here. The lads love him as well. And to be fair, I've got to be honest with you, I can't remember him missing anything. I can't remember him forgetting anything at any time. You can't afford to miss anything now, Jim, because you know, these lads, they string
Called
you up.
Experience, lad, called experience.
Oh, dear me.
It's absolutely
the thing about him is he's such a shy fella as well.
It's unbelievable, the staff kit you have to sort out, isn't it, on a match day? You know, the doctor's boots, you've got to put initials on all the ground staff gear. It's never ending, isn't it?
No. I mean, Saturday we take 14 staff who get changed on sit on the bench. It's ridiculous. And 10 of them don't do a tap.
Name names, Jimmy. We're not live. Name names.
I'll name them for you in 2 seconds, lad. Don't worry about that. 2 doctors for a start.
Yeah, they do enjoy themselves. I'll give them that. Let's talk about football, Diamond. As we said to Seamus before, the results haven't gone as we'd have hoped pre-season, but there's nothing to panic about, is there?
No, I'd like to think not. I mean, pre-season's pre-season. Listen, I've been in pre-seasons where we've lost every game, and then we've gone out and had a magnificent season, and vice versa. Been brilliant in pre-season, and you go to Sweden and play these sides that, you know, it's not decent opposition. You win 8-0, and you kid yourself that everything's hunky-dory and you're fit enough and you're in great shape, and all of a sudden you get smashed 2-3-0 opening day of the season. So it's very difficult. You don't read too much into pre-season. I know psychologically, you know, you don't want to go into a season not having won a game, but you know, there's an awful lot of work that goes into it. You're still training hard. You never line up in a pre-season game feeling as fresh as you should do going into a Premier League game, because the intensity in which you're working. And I'm sure, you know, they dropped down a couple of gears with the training this week to make sure that the lads are fresh ready to go come 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon, because that's what it's all about. And as Seamus, alluded to, there's going to be a bit of euphoria around the King Power Stadium. Their crowd are going to be up for it. The lads are going to be desperate to excite them. But there's a massive amount of experience in our side and a huge amount of know-how. And I just think if it's vital that we get through that 20 minutes. You get through the 20 minutes and keep the game calm, quiet, and the crowd down. I'd love to think, and I fully expect that our extra know-how and quality will come through in the end.
How's the gaffer been with you, Jim? Obviously, you worked with Walter for a while, Howard, you worked with Colin, you worked with Big Joe, you had David Moyes for the best part of 12 years. What's it been like working with Roberto?
Well, when he first come, I thought he was too nice, but he's got better and better. He was a really nice fella. Comes and says hello every morning to you. Sometimes I wait a week for David Moyes to say hello to you. But David Moyes never bothered us either. He was a good to us, because he was one of them. If you'd done your job, he looked after you and things like that. And Roberto's exactly the same. He's so polite, so nice, and his staff that he's got with him from Wigan, they're all the same. They're all really nice people. So it's great for us now.
It was a big step, wasn't it, for the guys from Wigan? With all due respect to Wigan Athletic, Graeme, to come from Wigan to Everton Football Club en masse, after the manager's been there for 11 years, there's bound to be a little bit of suspicion surrounding them, isn't it? It's only natural.
Yeah, of course there is, and I think it's great for the backroom staff to have had a figurehead like Roberto to lead them. And I think, we were all maybe a little bit sceptical, because Roberto had, been at Wigan and they'd been in and around the relegation scraps and what have you. But then again, you're only as good as your players. You can turn around and say managers, staff, what have you. The reality of football is that you're as good as the players that you deal with. And he stepped into Goodison Park, and he's got an awful lot of good players here. And in fairness to David Moyes, he signed a lot of those players as well. So we give him credit for that. But I think the big thing that we can all recognise is that Roberto has improved the side in the way we've played. I think it was a breath of fresh air. I think it's brave to come in your first season and play the way we've played, and to take chances at the back. And we've been panicking a little bit over at certain times, but we might have to make one or two mistakes. But in the long run, we're going to improve as a side for that, and I think we did last season. I think that was as I said, an incredibly brave move from a new manager, and I think we all love him for it as well.
Graeme, you still got your connections round about Chelsea Football Club at Stamford Bridge down there. Did Jose Mourinho just not fancy Romelu Lukaku?
Clearly not, because I did a fair bit for Chelsea TV last season. I did a lot of the pre-season games, and Rom was playing, and he was scoring goals as well. And when you look at the situation surrounding Chelsea, the one thing that probably in the end cost them the title was the fact that he didn't know who to play up front. He didn't know whether he played Torres for 3 games, Eto'o for 3 games, then Babar came in at the death, played a couple of games, but there was no consistency. And Romelu had played pre-season and consistently scored goals, and I was actually stunned, and I know a lot of Chelsea fans were stunned when Chelsea allowed Rom to come up to us. It was certainly for our benefit and Chelsea's loss, in my opinion. And I don't know. What I liked about Romelu was the fact that he wasn't prepared to go back there, and he was big enough as a 21-year-old to stand up to Jose Mourinho, clearly a magnificent coach and manager, and have the, for want of a better expression, nuts to say, listen, I don't want to come here and just sit on the bench and play the odd game. I'm 21 years old. I want to develop as a player. And clearly Mourinho didn't take kindly to that. And the sale was done, and hopefully, again, we'll benefit from that. And I admire Romelu to stand up as a young kid, because at the end of the day, there's too many people who are quite happy to tick along and play 15 games a season and put a medal in the back pocket. Not for me. You play football you play to play Saturday afternoon and Thursday night or whatever it is, because there's no better buzz in your entire life than scoring goals in front of 45,000 people week in, week out.
Everywhere we go, Graeme, people want to speak to you about that Wimbledon game. And Jimmy, you worked the Wimbledon game, you worked the Coventry City game when we drew 1-1. The pressure's really on, obviously, the managers at the time, the players. Does that seep through to the staff? Do you feel the pressure on occasions like that?
Yeah, it's horrendous. But to be honest, since he's gone, we've never had a problem about it down there. So it's been okay since then, hasn't it?
You've forgotten 97, Jim.
Just obviously, you get asked about the Wimbledon game all the time. Are you Are you still in touch with Hans Sagers?
Yeah, I mean, again, another terrific holiday myself and Hans had this year. I mean, clearly, I do get asked about that all the time. And look, you know, what can I say? It was the worst goal, but the best goal I've ever scored in my life. But it was a scary day, as Jimmy alluded to there. It was a horrendous day, and it was getting, after 20 minutes, it was becoming an absolute nightmare. So the thing that it's funny because people talk about it as, you know, the euphoria about it all and everything like that, but I've never felt like that. I've felt disappointed about that we were ever in that situation. So as much as I'm, you know, as much as I love the fact that I was able to play a major part in a game that kept us up, I'm also disgusted that we were ever there in the first place, because the reality of it is we clearly weren't good enough throughout the season and let ourselves down and let the club down to have put ourselves in that position. So I just thank our lucky stars that things have improved so much now at this football club that we're looking that way as opposed to looking over our shoulders.
Any questions for Diamond or Jimmy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny as well, because at the time, I didn't even have time to think about it. You know, Ridders had got me out of jail and it was in the back of the net, and you're 1-0 up in an FA Cup final against Manchester United, and Neville produced a magnificent second half performance to keep them out, because, you know, let's be honest about it, they were a top side United, and we knew they were going to have a period in the game where they were going to come at us, and Nev stood up at that time and made some fantastic saves. So it didn't matter at the time. But I must admit, it would be fantastic on your CV to be able to turn around to my little boy and say, you know, I scored the winner in the cup final. He'd hate me for it, because I give him enough stick anyway about what I've done, and yeah, I've done this, and what have you done, and stuff like that, messing around with him. But I would love to be able to say I'd scored the winner, yeah.
You got an assist anyway, haven't you?
And I had Ride Out first goal. Back in the day when you were allowed to bet, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a new directive out from the Football Association, the Premier League. Anybody employed by a football club is now no longer able to bet on any football match at all. So I'm not allowed, Katie, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. My £5 on Real Madrid to win a game ain't going to be affected by much, is it really? They're not going to throw the game for that. Questions for Graeme or Jimmy? Yep.
He's just whispering in my ear there, go on, give it him, give it him. To be honest with you, look, I take people as I find them, and Mike was actually a nice guy, and that was his problem. He was a nice guy, and he didn't upset anybody. I think he upset him in the way he was too casual about things, and I think my personal take on it, and I went through it to a degree when I first came up from London. You know, you all live up here. I live up here now, and I understand it. I fully understand what it's all about. The intensity of football on Merseyside is phenomenal, and it's totally different to London, because there's, God knows what, 8, 9 teams in and around London, and you don't get that intensity. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that Arsenal fans don't love their club or Tottenham fans don't love their club, but this is a football city. It's, you know, them lot and us. And it's even worse over in Norfolk, because I've had a little touch of that as well. And they're all nicey people, and there's 20,000 people who roll up, and everybody's, you know, knows each other. And Mike came up here, and I don't think he ever got his head round it. I don't think he ever got to grips with the intensity of football up here. And that was his downfall, unfortunately, for him.
Spent too much time on the Conti as well, didn't he?
Yeah, straight from the sunbed.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
Are there any areas in the squad, as it is now, Graeme, that you would be concerned about the season ahead?
Not concerns. I mean, I'm not daft. I clearly, we've got extra work this year with the Europa League. So the more good players you can get through the door in whatever position that may be, is clearly going to benefit everybody. But I go back to Joe Royle. Joe Royle always used to say to me, you know, you're only as good as your forwards. And I think if you look at it, he's not a million miles away. And I think I'd like to see, if we possibly can, get some more attacking players, give us more options, because I think defensively we were sound last year. I think Gareth Barry and James McCarthy were were really, really good in that holding midfield area. There were times last season where I felt in the final third we just needed that extra little bit of magic, and hopefully we'll get that sorted this season. I'm sure Roberto's working incredibly hard to get that sorted.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Again, an incredibly tough question. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and kid anybody. I think Chelsea, Manchester City and Arsenal will take the top 3 places in whatever order that may be. I don't know. So I think we're scrapping it out with those lot, Manchester United, Tottenham, for potentially the 4th spot. And I think that's realistic for us to be looking at. I think to turn around and say we can win the league, we're not ready to win the league, in my opinion, as yet. But I think we'll certainly be close to knocking on that 4th position. I think it's, again, you know, the expectation level is something, you know, the players are going to have to deal with, because we've had such a successful season last year. You know, so the expectancy from us all is there. We're all excited about it. The season ticket sales have been absolutely magnificent. It's a great credit to the fans for backing everybody at the football club. And like Seamus has said, I think if we can get a trophy in the cabinet, that would also represent a fantastic season for us, because, you know, what are we in the game for as fans? You're here to see us get success as players. You know, you want to be able to look at your kids, as, you know, in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, and say, yeah, I've won the FA Cup, we won the, you know, the Carling Cup, Europa League, whatever it may be. You want medals out of, you know, it's not all about glory and having, you know, a couple of £1 million in your bank account or whatever it is. It's about medals.
We'll take one more. Yep. Start with you, Jimmy. What would it mean to the staff to have a good run in Europe?
Brilliant. We just want to win something, don't we? It doesn't matter what it's the Europa League or what it is. Especially the players as well. We are desperate to win something, and hopefully we're going to do really well this year in the Europa League. We've got the players, we've got the staff. Everybody will be really up for it this year.
And of course, the further we go in the competition, the more nights out we get.
The more you get.
I think it's also really important as well as for the development of the young players. You know, they get the experience of playing against top quality European sides as well, and that hopefully we can go as far as we possibly can to the point where you get the teams that drop out of the Champions League as well, which makes it, which, you know, we can't, you know, you can argue whether that's fair or not, but, you know, the competition gets stronger all the way through. We've got the capability, if we get a decent, you know, we'll all be looking out on, I think it's the 29th, Daz, isn't it? Out in Monaco. Get out there and see the draw, and hopefully we'll get some good, you know, attractive sides to play against. And I think it's great. You know, the young lads will benefit from it. We'll all benefit. You know, we're in here to experience and to build the club and to make the club stronger. And I think the foreign experience will be excellent as a whole.
Ladies and gentlemen, they've been fantastic guests. Graeme Stewart and Jimmy Martin. You'll keep your eye out for the fabric bingo, by the way. Roberto Martinez. If you've got Roberto Martinez picture on your card, cross it off. Yeah. Yeah. That I don't know. Christine, can you adjudicate, please? But the gentleman's got Roberto Martinez, but it's not that picture. It has to be that picture. Sorry. Another card ruined. Listen, it's very warm in here. I know everyone's been sitting patiently. We're just going to take a little break for about 5 minutes for people to use the loo or what have you, or get another glass of water in Katie's case. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Two fantastic young players with big futures here at Everton Football Club, Ryan Ledson and Luke Garbutt. This is the downside of it all, isn't it? Sitting here listening to me. Start with you if we can, Luke. Obviously, you and I have spoken about it before, but what's it like for a young footballer to be in the same position as one of the best left-backs in Europe?
Obviously, it's quite a difficult task to obviously get ahead of him, but obviously you learn a lot. Obviously, training with him day in, day out, you're going to learn massively off him. So, yeah, that's one of the positives. So, yeah.
It's a good dressing room for a young player, isn't it? There's a lot of really good guys in there.
Yeah, they're all top lads. You know, they make you feel welcome. Obviously, when I came back off my loan, I trained a lot with the first team and obviously managed to get on the bench a few times. So that was a great experience for myself. So I'm pleased to be doing that.
What about yourself, Ryan? How good was it to be on the bench last season?
Yeah, it was a great experience for me, for a young kid, supporting Everton all the way through, and to finally get on the bench was a good achievement.
When were you told?
The Thursday, it was Stubbsy then, he told me I was training with the first team, and then came in the Friday and said, you're travelling with the first team to Southampton, so yeah.
Did you have a lot of family down there?
Yeah, my mum, my dad, my sister, all came down, yeah.
How did you sleep the night before? Were you nervous, or did you just think, well, this is what I'm in it for?
I kept waking up like in the middle of the night.
It's as Luke says, it's a great dressing room, isn't it? Who have been particularly fatherly to you? Who's put their arm around your shoulder?
The likes of Luke, Tyus, Sheamus as well. They've all made you feel welcome into the group, which is a massive thing.
It helps as well, Luke, doesn't it, that we've got so many good young players coming through. So you're all sort of in the same boat. You tend to mix together and eat together when we're away, for example.
Yeah, I think obviously there's a good batch of us that, have been elevated into the first team set up now, and obviously the likes of Tyus and Conor Mack and Duffy. We've all been with the first team through pre-season and that, so it's been good.
How influential in your career, how important was it for you to go out on loan and get some more league experience?
Yeah, I think it's obviously vital that you get first team experience young. So then, obviously, when you try and make the step up into your Premier League club, obviously Everton, that you're kind of equipped to hopefully make some appearances for Everton.
And I think as well, it probably does the young players no harm to see that it's not all about Finch Farm. That other training grounds around the country in the lower leagues in particular, I'm sure, are a lot different to Finch Farm.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously Finch Farm's the best of the best. You're not going to get much better than that. So I think when you go out there, you learn quickly and you grow up quickly as well. So I think that's what helped me massively from my loans.
What's helped you massively, Ryan, is the likes of Kevin Sheedy. He's had a big mark on your career, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Sheeds is a legend in the club, and he's got the 18s playing very good football. He plays the right way. There's the gaffer wants us to play in it. I think that helps all the young kids massively as well.
What was it like for the kids to have big Duncan Ferguson on board when he was doing the 18s with Sheeds?
You didn't want to get beat. 'Cause you knew what was coming when you were getting beat at half time. He'd come in and give you a rollicking, but that was good for our development.
What's next on the international stage?
For me, I'm in under 18s now. I think we've got a friendly against Holland in September, so hopefully I'm in the squad for that and just keep going up.
How good is that when you're away, representing your country at all the age groups?
Oh, it's massive, it's every kid's dream to play for the country. Garbs has played right up as well, and to go away to big tournaments and do well, it's good.
It's a lot of pressure on a young player, isn't it, to go and wear the 3 lions on your chest and carry the hopes of a nation?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, because there's obviously quite a lot of pressure that comes with playing for England, but I think that's part and parcel of being a footballer, really. I think there's obviously pressure when you play for Everton. We demand high standards from each other, so no one really wants to play against Everton because, you know, we work hard for each other and we make it tough for the opposition. So that's what's part and parcel of being a footballer, really.
Do you set yourself any personal targets at the start of each season? Do you say to yourself, I'd like to play so many games, I'd like to be involved so many times, or do you just take it as it comes?
Yeah, I think obviously you'll have your own personal goals, but I think if you just keep working hard on the training field and obviously try to impress the gaffer, then, you know, hopefully them appearances may come.
When you travel away with the first team, it must be a fantastic experience, Ryan. You're learning about all aspects of the game, not just the playing side.
Yeah, you do. There's a lot of more like tactics and a lot more you go into individual players for the opposition, which you don't quite do in the 18s and 21s.
How good's David Unsworth been?
Yeah, good. He brings life to the under 21s. It's training, it's hard, but it's enjoyable. You look forward every day to going to football and working with him.
Anybody got any questions for our two young footballers? There you go. How easy is that? What I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat the question, by the way, because our live streamers, this is being streamed live on the website, they can't hear the questions.
Luke, for example, would you like to play a little bit further forward if you can't get past Daisy?
The question is, for Luke, would you like to play further forward on the pitch if you can't get past Leighton Baines?
Yeah, I suppose so. If that means that I can, you know, have a chance of starting in Everton's team, then yeah, I'll do that. But I think for the long term, I do want to be playing left back. But you know, obviously the likes of Sheamus played right midfield when he first initially got into the team. So you know, I could take that as an example and hopefully do it that way. Yeah.
If you and Bainesy are both in the team, who's on free kicks?
Yeah, that'll obviously be Bainesy.
Any other questions for Ryan or Luke? We've got other guests to bring you, but I'm sure they'll be happy to answer your questions. What about yourself, Ryan? You said, Tony?
Obviously, as young players, Everton has seen as being a fantastic club in allowing young players to develop. Would you say that, being on the inside, that is a position that you totally agree with?
Just for the benefit of people watching around the world, Everton has a reputation for developing young players and bringing them on. Is it justified, the reputation?
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I think the way the club's structured is towards giving young players a chance. So with the likes of, you know, Tyus and Connor and Ross obviously making great strides and stuff in the first team, that there's obviously opportunities out there. So I think, yeah, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the tough part of it when you're a young player, coming and sitting up on the stage and speaking not only in front of yourselves, but millions of people watching around the world, we hope. But they've done fantastically well. Lovely to see them. Ryan Ledson and Luke Garbutt. There's your next picture. They shouted at me because I wasn't pointing at the pictures, but there you go. In your fabric bingo, and the picture has to match. You can't just claim any old picture of an Everton shirt and tick it off. It's got to match. There's got to be a head on it as well. Right, okay, time to welcome our next guest, two very, very vitally important members of staff here at Goodison Park, both part of the fabric video. From Everton in the Community, Steve Johnson, and please welcome our Goodison Park painter, John Manville. Steve, if I can start with you, as the lads just alluded to there, Everton is a football club with a fantastic reputation for bringing through young players. It's also a football club with a fantastic reputation for the work it does in the community. And again, thoroughly justified.
Without a doubt, yeah, we're the envy right across all the Premier League clubs, really, for the work that we do, the groundbreaking work we do in the local community. We've got over 45 different projects that we, you know, engage in the local community and change people's lives for the better. So yeah, it's very rewarding, and yeah, you know, it's a great community program.
If you can just tell us, just give us your job title and a brief resume of what it's all about.
I'm the disability manager. I'm the longest serving community officer at Everton in the community. I've been here since 2003. My remit when I first joined here was to provide football opportunities for disabled people. That's grown massively over the years. You know, it's not just playing in competitive opportunities. It's about supporting disabled people in everyday life, you know, through work experience, volunteer opportunities, you know, job opportunities. We also go to Alder Hay every day as well, you know, where we work with sick and disabled kids on the wards, which is, you know, a very rewarding part of the job.
When you lost your leg, Steve, did you think that your opportunity to play football had gone?
Yeah, very much so, because as a young kid, like a lot of people, you want to play for the club you support. You know, for me, it was Everton kind of thing, and I thought the scouting systems at that time weren't very good, to be fair, like, because they hadn't picked me up. But yeah, I was playing football in a sports hall in Southport, and the ball went in the corner near the fire door, and I ran over to get the ball, and some rainwater had got underneath the door, and I slipped on the wet floor and went through the glass fire door, the Georgian wide glass, and it's when I pulled my leg out that it gashed all the back of my leg and cut all the like nerves, veins, and arteries.
There's still food available, by the way, if anybody wants a bite to eat.
But I ruined me 1984 Everton Cup final shirt by tying it around my leg. But looking back at it, you know, that it was. You know, it was probably the turning point in my life, really, because since then, I've been all over the world playing sport, representing my country, you know, winning World Cups, and you know, I'm here at the club I love, working for the club I love, you know, so you know, you have to pinch yourself at times.
And Steve is also a member of the Football Hall of Fame, which is a fantastic achievement.
That means I'm old.
John, you're very much part and parcel of the furniture here at Goodison Park. You see what the guys do with the kids, the adults in the community. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fantastic, yeah. And here's where the show goes down the pan now. Watching wet paint dry.
Well, you're the man. Just tell us a little bit about what you do here, John, what you have done for all these years.
Basically, it's just maintain the ground itself, and that's it. Maintain the ground.
Is it like the fourth bridge? Is there always, once you get to the end, you have to start painting again? There's always something needs doing?
No, it's not like that. It could change to going into the offices. It could change going into different aspects of the ground. When I first started, it was going up to Belfield and doing Belfield. That's when I met Gordon Lee up at Belfield, and had to do his office. And then you started looking at the wages, and you're thinking to yourself, "Frickin' hell, I work 39 hours a week for £4." And I'm looking at a cheque there for £40,000, and they're getting this for kicking a plastic ball.
It's worse now, I can tell you. It's worse now. So when did you start, John?
1979.
How did you get the job? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was offered two jobs, which was Aintree Racecourse, and which was this one. And of course, being an Evertonian born and bred, I said, well, give us that one. So the Pakistani fella said, no, you have to wait. So then I came down, went inside the ground.
This is live, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, but no offence, a Pakistani's a Pakistani. Yeah. You can't call him anything else, can you? A black gentleman, then. And he said, go down there. And being a fan and looking at the outside, and then coming inside to see the state of the place, it was in a terrible mess. It was absolutely falling down. The old park end, if anybody remembers it, was terrible. It was horrible to go into, big beams, and there was nothing there. Owl boilers with the asbestos pads, big boilers going, tea bags that you've never seen in your life, about that big. Big strainers. Nothing like it is now. Totally changed.
What was it like to be part of that video?
It was unusual seeing yourself because, I mean, you're talking about the likes of Stevie, you're talking about Jimmy Martin and all these fellas who are actually in the front. We're just behind, and we just maintain it. So like the fans, we look at it ourselves as fans, and we're looking at the facilities for the fans. And we know the waste that's in this ground. And if you look at Bullens Road, it's like looking at one obstructed view. Because when that ball goes up in the air, it's like spot the ball. You don't know when it's going to come down.
Just getting back to disabled football, if we can.
Yeah.
There's the opportunities are vast, aren't they? Absolutely vast, whatever the disability.
They are, yeah. I mean, when I first lost my leg in the 80s, there was no football opportunities, for disabled people, and it wasn't just the same for me as an amputee. It was for all different disabilities, and it wasn't till it was 1999, 2000, when One to One, who sponsored Everton at the time, they started a program called the One to One Ability Counts program, and that was to get clubs like Everton involved. To give disabled people those football opportunities, and it's gone massive since then. We've got we've had over 20 teams that represent the club, and it's any disability can play. They want to at any particular level, So we've got a blind team, we've got powered wheelchair teams, we've got deaf teams. For every disability, we've got teams. So there's a lot more opportunities now, and that's through the work we've done than there was, 20 odd years ago.
It's so rewarding, isn't it, for the coaches, for the lads, and even when we take players along to see the kids in the wheelchair enjoying their football. It's fantastic.
Yeah, very much so. The kids in the powered wheelchair, some of them, have got a low life expectancy, and they can't really do any other sports either. So to actually, be able to play football, powered wheelchair football, to play for Everton, it's great opportunities for them, and some of them have gone on to to play for England, so it's given those opportunities, but it's a great social interaction opportunity for them as well.
Has Everton in the community grown far bigger than you ever imagined it would when you first started?
Yeah, massive. When I first came here, Ted Sutton was the community officer at the time. There was about I think there was about eight officers, and most of them worked in schools, and now we have over, I think it's about 140 members of staff, full-time, part-time, and say over 45 programs that we, many life-changing programs that we do in the local community. So it's grown massively, and in particular since Denise has joined us, yeah.
You've been here since '79, John. There's plenty more years left in the tank, isn't there?
Well, so far there is, yeah.
What's been your highlight for you? What was the most memorable match you've seen here at Goodison Park?
I think the 4-4 against Liverpool, and then they lost 1-0. And that finished Kenny Dalglish's career. That was spot on, that. I never liked Dalglish. Never liked him.
I think we're fairly safe. I think it's highly unlikely that Kenny's watching Everton TV at the moment, this moment in time. Ladies and gentlemen, two fantastic guests, Steve Johnson and John Manville. There's your next picture, Waggy. And it's got to be that exact picture. Right, we've got one more guest to introduce you to who's been waiting patiently. Or he's been waiting anyway, whether it's been patiently or not, I don't know. Please welcome Graeme Sharp. Briefing. What an entrance this is, by the way. Found the bottle opener, have you?
No, I was watching the football. Sorry.
He's been crying his eyes out all night because he's on last, and when he gets his chance,
I know, but sorry.
He's late.
Real Madrid are winning 1-0. And guess who scored? Ronaldo. Yeah.
If only we were allowed to bet. Looking forward to the new season, Sharpie?
Yeah, I am.
That was a bit hesitant.
What is, we're looking at the pre-season form, it's a little bit worrying. But I think once the season starts, the lads hopefully will be up and running. But I think it's been a little bit disjointed pre-season. I don't know whether it's because of the World Cup and, some boys not coming back until a little bit later. But the pre-season hasn't been as smooth as it was last year. But I'm sure, obviously there was a behind closed doors game that Romelu and Kevin Morales played in, so that will help them. So I think this week in training will be sharp stuff, and I'm sure they'll be ready for Leicester. But as I said, it's nice to get them back, and tough one to start with. Leicester, always against a promoted team, always a tough game there. But then we've got 2 fantastic home games, which hopefully will whet everybody's appetite, and really looking forward to it.
You and I were in Bangkok for the Everton-Leicester game and somehow managed to stay awake for 90 minutes and complete the commentary. It wasn't the best game, was it?
No, it wasn't. But I think you said to me before, Dan, can we take anything from the game, the result? And the answer is no, because the pitch was really slow, the conditions were really hot. For the first 25, 30 minutes, Leicester couldn't get the ball off us. So that was, promising. Unfortunately, we never really had a goal threat, but I didn't see anything in their performance which would worry me going down there at the weekend. The 2 lads up front, the boy Vardy and Nugent, are quite lively, quite pacey. The big boy they've signed from Brighton as well. Can be a handful if he wants to be, but I think if we're at the races, I think we can go down there and win. I wouldn't say comfortably, but I think we can get the 3 points.
It's just not the best time to go there, is it? We could have done with going there around about January, February.
Definitely,
when the wind's out the sails.
Because they're flying. They'll be flying. The fans will be looking forward to it. I remember, one of my first games for Everton was away to Sunderland at the beginning of the season. I think it was Gordon Lee's last season in charge, and we played Sunderland at Roker Park, and they'd just been promoted, and it was a really, really tough, hostile atmosphere. I'm expecting the same down at Leicester. We lost that game 3-1, and it was a really tough game because everything's going for the home side. But I think if we can get on the ball and keep the ball as we can do, I think we'll frustrate them. I think their fans will be frustrated if they can't get on the ball. So I'm hoping for something like we saw last season. I thought some of the performances last season were excellent. So hopefully we can kick on from there.
What do you call it the last time we played Leicester City on the opening day of the season? Lineker's debut.
Yeah, somebody told me that. I think we got beat 3-1, didn't we? I think Matt Bright scored, yeah. Can't remember too much about it. Obviously, there was a lot of hype about Links going back to Leicester. I don't know if he had a good game. I don't think he was great in that day. I don't think anybody was, but he didn't do bad after that. He scored 40-odd goals or whatever kind of thing. Okay, we just missed out, but it's always tough. It's always tough going back to a club that you played for, and it's always tough going to a ground where the team have just been promoted. And I don't care who you are. They'll be really looking forward to it. They'll know that we finished 5th in the league last year. They'll be seeing us as a big scalp. It's a fantastic opening tie for them, and they'll be looking to win the game, and the fans will expect them to win the game. But if we can get over the first 10, 15 minutes, we'll be under a little bit of pressure. I think when we start playing and getting the ball down, I think hopefully Romelu and Kevin will be involved. And I think we've got enough quality to hurt them as well.
They approached the game in Thailand in an interesting fashion, didn't they? You were speaking to the manager, and he made them all stay on English time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was amazing. Having travelling over there, our lads travelled over there. All in all, it was a 4-day trip, and it was really, really tough. They flew in. I think they had one training session, and then did the game, and they flew out again. But they adapted to Thai time. But Nigel Pearson said that they were going to work off English time, and they said that through some Swedish scientists or whatever. That's why they were doing it, and they seem to think it benefited them. Whether it did or not remains to be seen. But there's no Bangkok time or Swedish time when it comes to 3 o'clock on the Saturday. So we'll just have to wait and see. But they're confident they'll stay up. Only time will tell. It's a massive statement of intent. They bought some decent players, and they have to stay up because of the money and everything else. So it's a big season for them, but hopefully they got off to a poor start.
There was certainly nothing to frighten us, was there, when we were over there?
No, I think the 2 boys, I think Nugent, who's an Evertonian, and the boy Vardy, who's came through the lower leagues, who looked quite sharp. The big boy from Brighton they've got in is an old-fashioned centre forward, can get a hold of it, win a header. But as I said, I think in the midfield areas we've got better quality. Defensively we're good as well. The thing in pre-season that worried me a little bit is we never really had a goal threat. I think Stephen Naismith does really, really well for us and puts in a good shift, but we never really had a goal threat. We had a lot of build-up play, but nothing at the end of it. If Rom plays at the weekend, hopefully he can give us that. It's been a fantastic signing for us. I think last year, come to the end of the season, I didn't think we'd be able to get him. But all credit, we brought him on board, and he's a young lad. He's only 20, 21 years of age. He's still learning. There's parts of his game that he has to work on. He knows that. The manager knows that. But, you know, I think we've got a very, very good, talented boy here. You look at his goal-scoring record in the last couple of seasons, it's exceptional, and hopefully can go from strength to strength.
What bits and pieces does he have to work on?
Well, I think in this day and age, I think it's really, really frustrating if you're a striker, you know, and especially in a team that passes as much as what we do at times. You know, the ball moves from left to right, you know, and for a striker, you're going to the right side to try and receive the ball. You make good runs, it doesn't come. Get switched to the other side, you've got to get yourself across to the other side. So times last season, you could see Rom getting frustrated and coming deeper and deeper and deeper for the ball. And if I'm in an opposition centre half, I'm delighted to see that. He's going deeper and deeper for the ball. He's not a threat. What you don't want him to be is be on your shoulder and making runs in behind you. So he was getting a little bit frustrated because he wasn't seeing an awful lot of the ball. And then he was going into areas where he wasn't a danger. He was going wide and picking the ball up wide at times in areas where he wasn't going to do any danger to the opposition. So there's certain aspects of his game that he needs to learn, but you look at the size of him, he's a beast. You know, he's quick. I think the majority of his goals for West Brom was when he would get played in down the side, so he's got pace as well, as he showed against Arsenal here last year. So he's got all the attributes, but you know, he just needs to learn at times in the positions. That comes with experience, that comes with working with the manager. I'm sure they're working with Duncan and Graham Jones and Roberto. They'll know the aspects that they have to work on, and as I say, we've got a very talented boy that can only improve.
As we said, you and I were in Thailand. We were in America last season, pre-season, and I know you've been impressed with the staff. We mentioned them before, that it was a big step up for them to come from Wigan Athletic, again with all due respect, but they adapted really well, and you personally have been impressed with them.
Yeah, I've spoke to him a few times. The manager is like a thorough gentleman. You know, he's a credit to the football club. He's a lovely guy. Knows where he's going. He's very, very focused. Graham Jones is a good coach. Obviously, Duncan I've known from before. Dennis Lawrence is in there. Obviously, came over and played in lower leagues at Wrexham and whatever. But they all want to see the game played in the right way. They all got their own little bits and they add here and there. But having spoke to Graham Jones at length, you know, he knows what he wants. You know, the manager knows what he wants. The manager will not change his principles. This is the way he wants to play. The first couple of days we saw them in training in Miami, Dan, it was just like going back to our days in the 80s with Howard Kendall. Everything was involved with the ball. There wasn't a lot of, you know, what you call hard running. The first day of training, the ball was out, you know, very similar to what Howard Kendall was. So he wants you to work with the ball. He wants you to be comfortable on the ball. I think when he first came in, and I remember the first game over in America, and I'm thinking, I can't see this happening. Can you imagine Tim Howard rolling the ball out to the 6-yard box for Jags to like do a step over and pass it along the 6-yard line to Sylvan, who does a nutmeg or something? And I'm thinking the punters at Goodison won't have this, especially if we're 1-0 down against somebody with 10 minutes to go. They'll be shouting and screaming. And the lads were thinking that as well, but slowly but surely they bought into it. You know, and Roberto said that how quickly the lads bought into it. It took him maybe 2 years at Wigan to try and get the lads to play a certain way, but after about 2 weeks here, 3 weeks, the lads had bought into the way they wanted to play. Took some chances, hearts in the mouth stuff at times. Got caught out here against Sunderland when Ozzy made the mistake getting the ball off Tim. You know, but apart from that, I think, you know, it's gone really, really well, and I think he'll continue to play that way. I think this year will be different because I think a lot of teams will come here like Crystal Palace did at the tail end of the season and said, right, okay, this is the way we're going to play. We're going to push right up high on you and don't let you play out the back. I think you'll see an awful lot of that at Goodison this year, and it's how we plan to play around that, to have a plan B. I'm sure they will have. They've worked on it. But that'll be the interesting aspect today because a lot of people have wisened up and to say, well, look at Crystal Palace and what they've done. Physically, you know, pushed up high and gave us a lot of problems on the night here. So it'll be an interesting season.
Let's throw it open to the floor. Any questions for Sharpie? Yep.
How highly do you rate Mo Besic
just for those watching on the live stream, the question is, how highly does Graeme rate Mohamed Bezic, and if he's fit, would you start him at the weekend?
Seen a little bit of him in pre-season. For a young lad, and he's not got a lot about him in terms of size, physical size. He likes a tackle. I think he'll be a referee's dream this season. But no, he's a good talent, and it's interesting when you listen to where he wants to play. It's what I'm getting across is a defensive midfield player. But what we've seen in pre-season, he's more than that. He's got a great range of passing. You know, he's got quick feet. He likes a tackle, as I said. So I think there might be a few yellow cards. I think we'll just have to have a word with him to calm down. Personally speaking, everybody fit. I'm probably surprised if he started. I still think he needs to bed in and work more with the team and work more in training with the players and get to know them. I think he's made a good impression since he's come in, but I think come the weekend, I don't think he'll go far from probably where we finished off last season with likes of James McCarthy and Gareth Barry in there. We're fortunate enough to have Darren Gibson back as well, so he's another one for the mix. And then up front, if you're seeing Roms playing, the three behind could be anything. I think that's where we've got more options. You know, Stephen Pienaar coming back after his injuries, Leon Osman in there. You got Morales, McGeady's played. You know, so they have got options in the front four. Ross is there as well, obviously. Nice to see us having more options up front. I don't know how far Aruna Coney's away, but we need more striking threat. Stephen Naismith has been fantastic for us, but I think it's hard just to go into the season we're going to go into with the extra burden, the Europa League games as well, just with the squad at the moment. I still think we need maybe one or two more additions.
Questions? Any more? For Sharpie, yeah?
Right.
Again, just for those watching live, what sort of striker would you like here at Everton? The gentleman mentioned Samuel Eto'o, but maybe a bit old.
Well, I think I just read somewhere before I came out that the other shout across the park are supposed to be after him as well. So he's obviously got a fantastic pedigree. You know, you're talking short term. You're obviously talking an awful lot of money that will come, even though at this age he'll still demand a lot of money. I just think we need, if Coney's fit, I would say him and Romelu are not bad. Whether they play together, I'm not sure, because I think the days of playing two strikers up top, you know, have gone. Chris Long scored the other day a fantastic goal in pre-season. You know, I don't know how close he is to actually playing. I'm not sure if he's ready for the Premier League. So if you're going to go with another Stephen Naismith in there, the trouble with strikers is it's very rarely you get a cheap one. You know, because they do such an important job, they cost money. You know, whether if they're on a free transfer, they want a big wage. You know, if they're decent, they'll demand a high fee for them. So I'm not sure what would I like. I'm just trying to think who I could look at. Ben Teke, the Villa would have him. You know, he's had the injury kind of thing at the moment, but somebody of that stature. I just think that, you know, a lot's expected of Romelu. You know, with size and everything. I think people forget that he's only the age he is, and a lot of expectation were on his shoulders. So I don't think we can go into this season with all the expectations again on Romelu's shoulders. We've got to remember he's at the same age as Ross. Everybody was talking about treating Ross with kid gloves because of the World Cup and everything else. And you tended to forget that Romelu played very near every game here last year. Yes, he had dips in his form, which young kids do. So I think going into this season, and it's a great signing for us, but don't let's overload him with the expectations that he's got to do that. We've got to keep remembering that he's still a young guy who's still learning. So I'd like to see if Coney doesn't get himself fit, somebody like a Benteke kind of thing, you know, the same sort of focal point up front, if you like, you know, a big striker, yeah.
Okay, did you have a question?
Football's changed, as I said. Football's changed. I would like to think that in this team, I'd get frustrated. As I said about Romelu at times, I think you'd get frustrated. Football's changed so much. I think I've said this before, that Everton over the years has always been about number 9s and getting the ball wide and getting the ball in the box. You go through all the history books kind of thing. That's changed now. You know, the game's changed. So those days that we've been brought up and have gone now. So they don't play 2 up front. You know, you've got to play up front your own, and that is a really tough job. You're expected to hold the ball up. You're expected to lay it off. You're expected to get in the box. But at the end of the day, you're expected to score goals as well. And people will always look at how many goals have you scored. So the game has changed. Could I play it now? Not at this present state, but I'd like to think if I was fit enough, yeah, I think I'd like to. I always thought that my touch was reasonably good, so getting a hold of the ball wasn't a problem for me. And I think in Roberto's team, that's what you've got to do: get a hold of the ball and protect it.
You'd get in the team when you weren't suspended.
I was very rarely suspended.
You would be these days.
Oh, I would be these days, yeah. Yeah, that's what I don't miss referees.
Let's just spin it round the other way. Who out the current crop would be in and around the 84, 5, 6, 7 team?
So hard. I think you could ask any supporter in the land of any club in the land, and it'd be really difficult to name your best ever team out of this lot. Dear me. And then when you marry them up and say, well, Neville against Tim Howard, or Gary Stevens against Sheamus, I think it's really difficult. Like really, really difficult. I'm just trying to think. Many years ago, I would have said Arteta when he was here. I thought he was a fantastic player. Okay, he's gone to Arsenal now. Different one. But I think they'd all have a shout, Dan. They'd all probably get on the bench.
Lukaku would be straight in for me.
No, it's a really difficult question. I think, as I said, the game's moved on, and a lot of players they've got fantastic talent. So I think I honestly couldn't say. I honestly couldn't say. They'd all be very, very close. Very close.
Another question from the floor. This is the quiet
You
audience
bored
we've ever
everybody to
had.
death here, yeah.
I asked the audience before whether they prefer to finish 4th or win a trophy, and it was unanimous. They'd all rather win a trophy. I assume you'd agree with that.
I thought this was an easy night. Yeah, of course you want to win trophies, of course you do. But I think in this day and age, Champions League is all about the prestige of the Champions League, but it's also about the money, you know, and the rich rewards that gets you. I think it's becoming harder and harder to get into that 4th spot. Look at the clubs who are going to be involved again this season. A lot of them have spent a lot of money. Tottenham I'd expect to be better. Arsenal to be better. But, you know, I think we've got to move on as a club. I think everybody knows we need money. You know, we need money to invest in players and better players and move the club on. The Champions League and gaining entry into the Champions League will help you do that. Of course, we'd love to go to Wembley and love to go, was it Poland or whatever the Europa League is, and get to the final. So we'd love to get there, but deep down, love winning trophies as a player. You know, I think the players want to win trophies, whether it be the FA Cup or whatever. But I think from a biggest perspective for me, Champions League would be massive. You know, the money involved in the Champions League now, of course you've got to get through the group stages, but the money involved in the Champions League now, and it's probably a selfish point of view, but I think looking at the bigger picture, you know, if we want to be up there challenging, that's the place you've got to get to.
You can't beat that feeling of your first trophy, though, can you? You always say that the FA Cup in '84 was just so special.
Well, that's why I was really disappointed when we lost the final a few years ago, because I thought if we'd have won then, it gives you the belief to go on and become better and challenging. The FA Cup in '84, when we won it, the next season we couldn't wait to get back into pre-season training. We thought, yeah, this is it. We're going to win this. If you remember, we started with a home game against Tottenham. We got battered 4-1 here, and then it brought us right back down to earth. And we thought, aye, what's going on here? But winning that FA Cup gave us a belief that we could go on and challenge, and we can go on and, you know, challenge the likes of Liverpool and whoever was up there at the time. And it gave the lads the belief. So that's why I was disappointed a few years ago when we missed out against Chelsea, because I think if we'd have won it then, it would have kicked us on another step. So for these players as well, you know, and for us as well, it'd be great for the players now to win it, you know, because sometimes you get fed up with saying, do you remember that game, and do you remember that you were the last team to do this and the last team to do that. I'd love this team to do it and get a trophy under the belt, because they're all great boys, great set of lads, great camaraderie in the dressing room, very similar to what we had on the field, not off the field, on the field. We were a little bit different in our time, but no, I'd love the team to win something.
The manager's just, we've alluded to it before, he's just embraced everything about Everton Football Club from the second he walked through the door last summer. And in particular, he's embraced the history of the club, hasn't he? He's not afraid of the history of Everton Football Club.
Well, definitely, he's done his homework, you know, and that's, I think, you know, meeting him for the first time, just wow, you know, he knew about the club, he knew about it, he talked about the time when they came here and beat us in the FA Cup convincingly, and the reception they got from the fans and everything else. So speaking to some of the coaches, they were just saying that they looked in from Wigan, looked at Everton and thought, what a fantastic club, you know, why are they not doing more? Why are they not winning things? Why are they not being involved at the top? Why are they not doing this? And it was a mystery to them, but they always had the club, and it was always in high regard, but always like, that can do better, you know, that can do better, we can do better. And I think just when they beat us here 3-0 and the ovation they got from the supporters, it showed you what, you know, a knowledgeable set of supporters are here as well. So I think when he had the opportunity, I think when he first got appointed, or when he first got linked with the job, I must be the same, I was a bit sceptical. I looked at it and I look at Wigan and I'm thinking, it's not won many Premier League games. You know, with Wigan over the last couple of years, he's been beat 6 or 7 a couple of times. I'm not sure, but we've got to give credit. You know, they've made a choice. You know, he's obviously interviewed well, and he's came in, and as I said, he's been fantastic. And very quickly, last year he took all the press out for Christmas dinner into a Spanish restaurant in Liverpool. So there was about 20 press lads round a big table upstairs, and he's 10 minutes late. So he apologises. He comes in and he apologises, and he goes round the table individually to each press guy, knew their name. Hi Bob, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God, how impressive is this? The other fellow would never have done that. They'd never have done that. But the fact that he knew everybody's name, it made the press lads feel as if, oh, I'm important here, kind of thing. It was only afterwards I thought, how's he done that? And he's asked you, Darren, or he's asked the press boys to make sure. He says, who's all coming tonight? Okay, who do they write for? Yeah, get me a picture of them. So he's memorised all the faces and all the names, and he just went round, bang, bang, bang. And you could see the press lads going, wow, he knows my name. How impressive is that? And he just sat them down and he spoke to the press lads that night. Fun and games, having quizzes about football and everything else. And he was absolutely fantastic. And again, going back, Howard Kendall, different era, different times, he had the press eating out his hands, you know, because he treated them the right way. Whereas if you're drawing comparisons to Moisey, who's done a great job in his tenure here, he never had that relationship with the press. It was always, you know, fractious, wasn't it? It was always like this. But Roberto's come in there, and that's another ace. He's been fantastic.
He certainly has. We just want you to perform one more task for us, Sharpie, please. If somebody can bring the raffle tickets over, if you get your raffle tickets ready. We've got an away shirt. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Your generosity tonight. We've raised £200 for Everton in the community, so give yourselves a nice round of applause.
Pink. Look, blue. Is it pink?
Blue.
Is it blue? I'm colourblind, I wouldn't mate. Blue ticket, 591 to 595.
591 to 595. There you go. Come and get your shirt. Wow. I'd put us on now if I was you. So we're going to put the bingo pictures back up. Have we got a winner? We've already got a winner. You just come forward and see Christine, and Christine will check it. House correct. There you go. Well done, young man. Just finally, in the time-honoured fashion, just want to thank a few people. The guys from the Heritage Society, the Everton Heritage Society, have brought all these Umbro shirts along. Fantastic. Well done indeed. We've got feedback cards on the tables, by the way. If you could just take a few minutes, it would be very much appreciated if you can just put in your feedback. Be as honest as you like, because we've got all your details. We know where you are. Our friends from the Fans Forum have helped put together this evening, so thank you very much indeed to the lads from the ladies from the Fans Forum. Also the Everton staff, Christine, Karina, Dominique, Jen Penn, Linda Pryor, Michelle, Paul Eddy and Paula Fennick. Thank you very much indeed for staying behind and helping us out. And young Daniel working the controls over there, thoroughly enjoyed himself. Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, if you can fill in the feedback cards, it'd be much appreciated. My thanks, of course, to Sharpie. I've missed someone out, haven't I? There's a video. Run the video.
Thanks for coming. I'm looking forward to see you soon at Goodison. I hope you have a safe journey home.
He could have mentioned me. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your night.